So UFC 310 is just about here. The press conference is over. The media obligations are wrapping up. And a lot of the times inside the fight game, right, we see a lot of fighters, they come along and sometimes, some things happen and there's these moments that really can define their career or really send them in the right direction or send them in the wrong direction. And what I wanted to do was come on and make a video discussing Ian Machado Garry and how I believe this guy actually won back a ton of fans leading up here to his fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov at UFC 310, despite whatever the outcome is going to be from when these two throw down. Because guys, I feel like Ian right now, it almost feels like a Conor McGregor back in the day to a degree, a Israel Adesanya back in the day when he was kind of coming on the scene, to where Ian's this brash dude, right? He's confident. He's got a lot to say. He loves a microphone in his hand. He loves going on social media and trying to entertain and say some things to get reactions. And when you do that, you're going to get fans and then you're going to get haters. And unfortunately for Ian, there's been some weird things going on with the lady, and that kind of became, a headline, and that became a thing that people just ran with. And I'm not going to lie, pretty fucking weird, right? There's some weird things going on there. But I think that this is a moment right now from Ian deciding to step in and fight Shavkat at UFC 310 in the co-main event. This is one of those moves that down the line a few years from now, we're going to look back and go, it was this right here. It was this move and this decision by Ian to go in there and fight Shavkat that sent his career in a much better direction. Now, I'm not saying he was necessarily doing anything wrong, but when there's a lot of negative noise, you almost have to do something a little crazy, a little nuts, a little wild to get people to get away from that and talk about this nutso thing that you're deciding to do. And that nutso thing is you're supposed to be fighting at UFC Tampa against Joaquin Buckley, a southpaw, big, strong guy, totally different opponent. And then you get pulled from that fight night because Belal Muhammad, he was supposed to be defending the title against Shavkat. Muhammad got hurt, so he's not available, right? So they elevate Pantoja and Asakura to the main event, because it's a title fight. And then Shavkat's like, look, I want to stay on the card. I know I had a title shot, but I still want to compete. I haven't competed in a while. I want a dance partner. So the UFC goes, bring. They go, Ian Garry. You're a guy that's got a lot to say. Are you one of those guys that can step up to the plate when we need you and go in there against the boogeyman in the 170-pound division that a lot of people are saying this guy is, right? A lot of people are saying Shavkat's that dude. He's a dangerous dude, and I think that he is definitely one of the hardest stylistic matchups for everyone in the division, right? I think that Belal right now, from what we saw at UFC 304, he's an absolute problem for everybody. And then Shavkat, with his style, he's finishing everybody, right? So he kind of is looked at as this boogeyman inside the division. And Ian Garry goes, sign me up. Where do I sign? I would love that. Co-main event, number one contender, title fight, eliminator opportunity. And keep in mind, there was no interim belt on the line. There's no interim belt on the line here. So Ian Garry, he's putting it all on the line, as well as Shavkat, right? We got to give Shavkat credit because he decided to stay on the card. He had a title shot. He's like, no, he didn't say, I'm just going to wait. He's like, no, I'll take on Ian as well. So we have two guys in the prime of their career, both undefeated. Somebody's always got to go, and they both agree to fight each other. But for me, with all of how Ian's personality is, all of the headlines that, have kind of been, for this guy, right? There's been a lot of negativity, a lot of this and a lot of that. I really believe that he has done the right things to win the fan base back over, because this card is actually a pretty good card from top to bottom, but there's been kind of, not a whole lot of buzz going on, right? Because I think the title fight, it does have some excitement with Kai coming over, but at the end of the day, it's been kind of dry, right? The personalities are kind of dry. So Ian's kind of stood out, right? He's kind of been marketing the fight a little bit, making it a little bit interesting, but again, in a very positive, light way. You saw him talk about Charles Oliveira at the press conference, and you just get to hear this guy, right? I know he's a dad now, and, what is he, 27 years of age? I mean, the guy's young, right? He's young in the game. He's growing up. This is a guy that already came onto the scene, undefeated into the UFC, high expectations, was comparing himself basically to Conor McGregor, and that's the guy I looked up to. So when you do that, you're going to draw comparisons, right? People are going to set these expectations. They're going to set the bar really high. And I think Ian was kind of missing it a little bit at times, but now that he's starting to click, right? He left Kill Cliff FC, and I think a lot of that had to do with, look, I got to work on my grappling. I got some holes to plug up, but then there's a lot of guys, you got Shavkat, you got Usman, you have Gilbert Burns. they're all training with me and they're all in my division. So I kind of maybe have to get away from that in the event that I got to fight these guys at some point. So Ian did that, goes to shoot the box. He's training with Charles Oliveira. That's a good guy to be around, right? And you even heard him say that at the press conference. Oliveira completely resurrected his career, just an inspirational guy. The way that he's been able to rejuvenate himself inside the sport. I think Ian has done all of the right things. I think that he has really turned a page here. And if he can go out there and beat Shavkat, I mean, especially in impressive fashion, I think that sends him into a different level. And I think that we're looking at a big star here inside the UFC, because I really don't remember. I mean, maybe you guys could comment below and remind me, but who have we really seen that was like, oh, people are really hating on this guy, to now it's like, actually, it's not so bad. Actually stepping in to fight as dangerous dude in Shavkat, for a number one title fight here. He's risking his undefeated record as well as Shavkat. Like, this is badass that he agreed to this. And I think that when you talk like Ian and you go in there and you back it up by signing on the dotted line to take on a scary opponent in Shavkat, I think it does a lot for you. And like I said, I think in a few years from now, we look back on this and we go, this was the moment. This was the opportunity that Ian Garry took that absolutely changed his career for the better.